So today we're going to talk about Avengers Infinity War. And before I get heat for this, I did pre-screen the movie before I let Lainey go to it and talk to her mother, and her mother was okay with it as well. And so we saw it, and you didn't have a lot of background coming into it. You were interested in seeing it mainly because of Guardians of the Galaxy, which you had seen. And you had also seen the Spider-Man films because Colton's a huge Spider-Man fan. And you had a little bit of exposure to the Avengers, but not much. So going into it, the plot might have been a little confusing for you because you didn't have a lot of background, but you had the pieces from Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. So what did you think about the story? Could you follow the story?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think about it?
I liked it. At first, I didn't know what the names of all of those people were, but then I really liked it after, you told me some of them throughout the movie.
Right. So between the exposition they gave us in the movie and what, you leaning over and saying, "Who's that?" me answering you, it helped you out. Who were your favorite characters in it?
I liked Scarlet Witch from Adventures, but then for Guardians of the Galaxy, I liked Gamora.
Gamora. Did you like anybody else from Avengers prior to this?
I liked Black Widow.
Black Widow. Did you like her in this film?
I liked her. I wanted her to have more parts. And I don't like her hair now. I liked it better red.
I will say that the change in the hair color was a little confusing. You didn't know who she was. You kept asking me, "Where's Black Widow?" as we went through the movie, and I'm like, "She's been in the movie. She's," and you're like, "Oh," because you didn't realize she had blonde hair in this movie. So that might have been a confusing kind of plot thread to follow because they changed her hair color and she looked very different. So that
I have an Adventures shirt that I wore there, and I noticed I had red hair on the shirt, and I saw blonde hair once you told me that was Black Widow. And I said blonde hair, and I'm like, oh, well then why does my shirt say it's red hair?
Right. So again, that was kind of a confusing plot element. So let me cut to the chase on this part. Now, this is basically, the Avengers are in a war with the character Thanos, and you followed the Infinity Stones piece. You were talking to me about it earlier, so you followed what they were doing there. And they basically have a bad day at work. Our superhero team has a bad day at work, and things don't go well for them. Now, did any of that bother you or scare you?
No.
And why not?
Because I know they're actors that are pretending, so they're not actually doing it.
Right.
So
you're aware of that, but you can still enjoy the story even knowing that? Okay. All right. So we've established kind of who your favorite characters were. Now, we don't want to give spoilers away, but a lot of things are left up in the air at the end of this film. Are you excited to see the next one? Looking forward to it? How did you feel about?
I want to see the next one because I also know because of that sign on the little pod thing. At the end of the movie, he clicked the thing and sent a message. And then I'm like, what's that sign? And you had to think about it. And after a day or so, you were like, you know how you were confused about that sign? Well, that's Captain Marvel or Marvel.
Captain Marvel, right.
Captain Marvel. So.
And to my credit, it wasn't a full day. It was about 5 minutes, and it dawned on me who it was.
But you didn't tell me.
Right, I didn't tell you for a day, but I knew who it was. So it's interesting because you hadn't seen a lot of the other films before it. In fact, I didn't get to see. I went to Thor Ragnarok, and I had to leave the film. I didn't get to see it while I was there because the people sitting next to me were extremely inconsiderate and disruptive, so I couldn't follow what was going on. And then I actually got a call and I had to leave the film, so I didn't get to see Thor Ragnarok, and I actually haven't seen Black Panther yet either, which is a film that you can't see at this point. But I thought it worked very much like a comic book in that if you follow, you don't necessarily have to read all the other comics from all the individual titles in order to follow a team title, even though they all come into it. They gave you enough in the story where you could get it. Like, I hadn't seen Black Panther, but I could tell Wakanda was where Black Panther was from. I could tell that that might have been his sister that was the very, very intelligent scientist that was trying to work out how to get the Infinity Stone out of Vision's head, so to save him. You know, there was enough there that I could figure it out without having to have seen the prior movies. Obviously, it would have been easier to follow the plot had I seen them, but I didn't have a problem. And that actually reminded me of reading comics. You know, I would pick up a title and read it, and there was enough around the story that I could follow what was going on in that particular issue of the comic book. The movie played the same way. So I thought that was very good. And it'll be intriguing to see how they tie up the plot threads. You know, obviously Marvel and Disney have a wonderful money-making franchises with Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. I don't believe this is the last time we'll see these characters, you know. And I think I give a lot of credit to the film because there were a lot of characters in this film. And a lot of stories going on, and they had to weave it all in without it feeling efforted or too confusing, and you followed it. You talked to me about it afterwards.
Because I think of it like little stories, and you all put them together because they're in the same category, and it makes one big chapter book.
That's a good way to look at it.
That's how I think of it.
And since they're from comic series and they're comic book heroes, that makes a lot of sense. You asked me in the car, Daddy, did you like Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle better or this one? And I said, gee, that's tough. I actually like both for different reasons. And you said the same thing. So you really liked it. In the car, at least, at that time. So I'm trying to think of what other pieces to address. So did you have anything else you wanted to add to it?
Not really.
No? Would you recommend it for kids your age?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that goes with a bit of a, you know, disclaimer, which is, you know, your own child and whether they would be able to handle it or not. Lainey realizes they're actors and understands that the situations are comic book style violence, and these aren't real people that are in real jeopardy. But you're still able to enjoy and like the characters and follow the story and get excited?
Yeah.
So you still think... I guess I want to ask you this way. Did it still feel magical to you as a movie?
Well, it's because I see the movie and I just relax and think of the movie. Then when the movie is over, when I'm thinking of the movie too, I'm thinking that they're just actors, but I still enjoy the whole entire movie.
That's good. I will say the first Avengers movie, which you haven't seen, I remember going to the first Avengers movie and coming out of it, and it was Mr. Jeff I told, this is the first time I've gone to a film since maybe 1989 when Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade came out, where I actually got chills and felt excited and what have you. I thought the first Avengers film kind of reinvigorated the popcorn movie, if you want to call it that. And this one is darker. So I didn't have that kind of feeling, but I certainly appreciated it as a film-going experience. And that's what I think it is. It's an experience. Okay, so yummy or crummy for you?
Yummy.
And yummy for me, so 2 yums up. And we're just going to keep doing this on and on into infinity and beyond.
Ha ha ha.